Hello and welcome to TIBS TV with me, Jack Murphy.
And me, Greg Stiles. Coming up on today's show, we hit Legends Gym to learn about the art of Thai boxing.
TIBS TV also takes a trip to Gosport Ice Rink to catch up with the local ice hockey team.
We'll also take a trot to the stables to take a look at the Solent equestrian team.
And at the end of the show, we'll be bringing you the latest sports headlines with our news roundup.
But first, we go ringside as our man Lee Rowley looks into the up-and-coming sport that is Muay Thai boxing.
Hello, I'm Lee Rowley and I'm down here at Ocean's Gym in Southampton High Street. Here they teach a mixture of martial arts classes, and tonight I'm down here when they're teaching Thai boxing to find out a little bit more. Thai boxing, also known as Muay Thai, is a martial art which originates from Thailand. It is referred to as the art of 8 limbs because it allows the use of punches, kicks, elbows and knee strikes, so using 8 points of contact. Muay Thai is also one of the key disciplines in mixed martial arts and is a very technical sport. Strength is not the key in this game and technique is crucial. If the moves are applied correctly, it doesn't matter how big or strong you are, you can lose. Clinching, or chap ko, is also a big part of Thai boxing. Unlike traditional boxing, where fighters are separated when they clinch, Muay Thai fighters are not. Often it is these clinches where the majority of knee and elbow strikes are landed. Small amounts of stand-up grappling is allowed, and the fighters will try to escape by pushing the opponent's head backwards. In a traditional fight, there will be 5 rounds, with each round lasting 3 minutes, and a 2-minute rest period in between. The boxers must wear gloves, red or blue trunks, athletic cups to protect the groin area, and ankle caps. Like most full contact fighting sports, there is a heavy focus on body conditioning. The sport promotes a high level of fitness and toughness to prepare you for competition. Training methods including running, shadow boxing, rope jumping, abdominal exercises, and body weight resistance exercises.
Really working. Come on, twist the body, twist the torso across, left and right. Okay, straight into reverse cranks. Go. Push up, straight line down. That's all it is. No bend at all in your legs. Keep it working.
So why do people train in Thai boxing? Is it for fitness, to fight competitively, or simply just for fun?
Just for fitness really, and I find it more fun than just, you know, going down the gym or something. You're learning something as well as keeping fit.
Mixed martial arts isn't as popular as football and rugby, so why do you prefer to do combat sports over those sort of sports?
I think it's probably when I was younger. I used to do kickboxing and like kung fu as a kid, and then I suppose just because MMA and Thai boxing becoming popular, it just sort of took an interest to it, and then just tried it. So.
Have you got any plans for a potential fight in the future?
I'm not too sure, to be honest. One of those things, you've got to put a lot of hard work into it, and 100%, because you're coming up against people who are, train really well, and if you don't take it seriously, then you're in danger of getting hurt.
Professionals will repeatedly hit hard objects with their shins, conditioning it and hardening the bone. This is because Thai boxers rely heavily on kicks utilising the shin bone. Heavy bag training is used to train hand speed, combinations, timing and explosive power. Another vital element of training is diet. Fighters must stick to strict diets as well as the intense training if they are to have any chance of winning in the ring. Due to the rigorous training regime, professional boxers generally have short careers and turn their attentions to coaching the next generation of fighters.
Come there just up a little bit, hands over the top, elbows together, then you can pull the head down. Try and keep it up, Joe. Once you're digging that in, makes it a lot harder. If I go on his neck, me trying to get his head down, it's going to be very difficult.
Sean Toomey, an ex-amateur fighter and owner of the Ocean Gym, tells us a little bit more about himself.
My background, I started in boxing 1976 in London for Fitzroy Lodge, then the Lynn, and then progressed on from boxing many years later to Thai boxing under Narong Sudzavat, Master Bob, famous fighter from Thailand. That was in about 1986, and then progressed on from there.
From what we've seen, there's obviously quite a good standard here. You say you've got some fighters having title fights soon. Are there any that you think have got potential to push on?
Yeah, I've got a real good young crop at the moment. We're rebuilding the fight team. Most people do it for fitness and self-defence. We're building our MMA fight team again. We've had some great fighters here in the past. Tom Kong Watson, UFC fighter now. Mark Adams trained here as well for a bit of Thai boxing. He was BAMMA world champion. Lee Taylor.
yourself, did you do any fighting?
Yeah, amateur boxing for many years. Started from 1976, Thai boxing as well. So yeah, competing regular, and then around about mid-90s, I sort of retired from that, just concentrated on the teaching.
One of the fighters who trains with Sean is Jamie Hawkhead, who tells us all about his competitive career and his upcoming fight.
Was B-class Thai, which is knees to the head, no elbows. It's pretty high standard, professional. It's a big fight show in London. This would be my 6th professional fight, 5 wins, 1 loss. Don't really know too much about my opponent. I know he's a bit taller, a bit rangy. But I'm just going to go in there, let him have it basically. Generally I'm a dominating fighter, I'll just go in, all guns blazing, sort of overpower most of my opponents. So yeah, that's pretty much my game plan. Go in there, do the business.
When you beat him,
yeah.
what's your plans for the future? Any more fights? Any title fights?
Move on to my next fight. Hopefully on the 24th of April, got an English title fight on Sean Toomey's show, War on the Shore. So yeah, bring on the training and the next fight.
Sean is also involved with a promotion company, and there will be a capital punishment event held at Oceana, Southampton on Sunday, April the 21st. There will be a range of fights covering Muay Thai, MMA and boxing. Competitors will travel from up and down the country to compete, and even Dutch fighters from the famous Mike's Gym in Amsterdam will be in attendance. So that's just a little insight into the world of Thai boxing. If you want to get involved, come down to Ocean's Gym or contact Sean Toomey, and maybe one day you can get your face up on the wall.
Pete Howard joins us in the studio now. So Pete, you were at the Thai boxing. What were your first impressions of the sport?
Well, of course, it's a very violent sport, but also a very sport involving a lot of technique as well. You involve all your limbs as well, so it's all kind of a very kind of coordinated effect that you have to kind of try and sort out in your head, like when you're doing the sport. And it takes a lot of coaching to kind of get around the idea of trying to use all your limbs involved in one fighting movement. So it's a very interesting sport to watch. Of course, it's very violent as well, and it needs to be coached properly.
And just how easy is it to get into? Because it's not like a big sport.
Well, it is quite a rare sport, isn't it? I mean, when you think of martial arts, you think of maybe kung fu or karate as well, which is kind of what a lot of kids try to get into. But I think with the technique that is taught in these lessons, it's taught also a lot of balance and kind of different mental effects as well. So there is many gyms around the country as well. They offer kind of many different levels. So at the Oceans Gym, they welcome anyone from beginner to high level as well. And so it's kind of a welcoming family altogether. And the coach down there, Sean Toomey, he just wants everyone to get involved, and he just wants the best for his sport, really.
Seems like quite a brutal sport. Just how dangerous is Thai boxing?
Well, let's just say when I was down there, I just didn't want to get in the way of anything at all. It's a very specialised thing to do, and you have to approach it very carefully. And there is a lot of injuries. Back in 2011, one of the professionals, the GB in International, he actually died in the ring. So of course there is many dangers, and that's where Sean Toomey down there wants to kind of let these people know what they're trying to do. So beginners don't go into it, rush into it, and kind of injure themselves. It is, after all, a martial art, and therefore there are dangers involved.
Thanks very much, Pete. Time to get our skates on now, as Harry Hunt glides down to the ice rink to catch up with the Solent and Gosport Devils.
Ice hockey is a sport which receives very little media attention in this country. With that in mind, I've come down to Gosport Ice Rink to meet a few of the characters in the game. Solent and Gosport Devils ply their trade in the National Ice Hockey League South Division, one tier below the Premier. The Devils enjoyed their best year in the club's history last season, winning the South Second Division, but this campaign hasn't quite gone to plan. The team are finding life difficult in their new surroundings and are bottom of the league, having won just 2 of 25 matches. But despite this, the fans are sticking with them, and captain Chris Abbott says the loyalty of the fans is crucial to the club.
The fans are great, really. You know, they've spent the last 5, this is the 6th year, I think, where we walked the league below for nearly 4 years, winning games every weekend. The fan base has dropped a little bit, Obviously not many people like to watch a losing team, but they still come and watch, you know, the fan base is great, really.
With the team losing so often, you may wonder why there's still a big crowd at the home matches. Surely people have better things to do with their Sunday evenings than watch their team lose in these freezing cold surroundings. But it's clear that there is a big passion for the sport amongst both the Devils and their opponents' fans to come down and watch the ice hockey.
Probably it's a good way to finish off the week. Enjoy the physicality of the game, speed. It's quite like a technical game as well.
I mean, normally I come with a good group of people and we have a bit of fun, you know, just standing and enjoy it.
Quite a traditional American sport. Do you think it has the potential to get bigger and bigger in England?
Yes, it is very big, yes.
Why is that?
Because it's it's more important in America.
The guys that play this are not sissies. I mean, you watch your average footballer, he gets touched, he falls over, he cries to his mummy. These guys batter the crap out of each other with sticks. It doesn't bother them.
And there's one particular aspect of the game which is most appealing.
Violence.
When I was at school, a teacher used to show us hockey fights to get us to do my work, so that kind of pushed me to come see it.
What is it that attracts you to ice hockey?
Oh, everything, mate. The physical stuff, the rough stuff, just the quickness of the game, really.
What is it that attracts you to ice hockey?
The fighting.
Anything else?
No.
What do you make of the fighting then as a spectator?
Yeah.
You going to get involved?
I have done.
The physical nature of the sport is clearly a big draw for most fans, but the men who play the game also relish the battle. Head coach Will Francis gives us an insight into just how tough the sport can be.
Yeah, it's a bit like rugby. It's good, you know, it's intensity out there. It's a great team sport. You know, the physicality side of it's fantastic. That's why a lot of us boys really enjoy it. And the speed of the game, speed's fantastic.
Today's visitors are the league leaders, Chelmsford Chieftains, who've brought with them a loyal following of fans. The match was always likely to be an uphill task for the Devils, who after a close first quarter eventually succumbed to a 12-1 defeat. And a quick return to South 2 is on the cards. Talking to the players, it becomes clear that as in most other sports, money talks. The team's league position is a reflection of where the clubs stand in terms of funding.
Sponsorship's massive. You know, it's the difference in this league between the top four and the bottom end of the league is big sponsorship, and that's one thing that, you know, everybody's got to get on the back of the bandwagon of and try and get more of.
Whilst opponents like Chelmsford are able to pay their players over £1,000 a month and attract players from Europe, it's money which the Devils just can't afford to compete with, paying their players less than a quarter of what their counterparts earn. Ice hockey does not yet provide a big enough source of income for the players to devote more time to the sport they love, and for the meantime, both Coach Francis and Captain Abbott will continue to juggle their day-to-day lives to find time for ice hockey.
And personally, how does it fit in around your lifestyle and around your job?
I'll make it fit in. You know, I've got 2 kids and a wife and a house and a mortgage to pay for, so, you know, I've got to make it fit if I want to play.
I'm a warehouse manager for a drinks company, so I supply pubs and clubs with beer and that.
So ice hockey's a nice escape, is it?
Yeah, it's not too bad.
For the moment then, it seems as though the Devils may have to take a step back in order to take 2 forward.
Well, that's it from the Gosport Ice Rink. A bad day for the Devils, and while current circumstances don't look too promising, the future of the sport certainly does.
Harry is here with us in the studio now. So Harry, how did you enjoy your first experience of ice hockey?
Yeah, it's very interesting actually. I'd never even seen it on the TV, I'd never seen it in real life, and it was a real eye-opener. It was really cold actually. It was as cold as being out on a Sunday morning watching local football. Obviously it's an ice rink, but there's quite a few people there. I wasn't expecting that many people to be there. It's a very physical sport, which you probably saw in the video, and I think it's got quite a lot of potential. Obviously American sports getting bigger over here, but in fact it was created by the English, so it's quite a surprise that there's not more participants in this country.
And you mentioned there, just briefly in your answer there, that it's an American sport, or it's seen as an American sport. So just how far can ice hockey go in terms of our society? Can it grow? Or
it probably can grow. Obviously American sports are getting bigger and bigger over here. Obviously they've got the Devils, that's not a real English thing to do, and I think it can get bigger. It's different sport because most of the people just go to watch the fights. They've got specific players just to get in fights, so it's not like anything we've seen before. It's obviously for the hardy type of people that want to get involved in it, but it's also got a lot of skill, so I think it sort of covers all bases. I think it's got potential to get bigger and bigger.
We saw on the video there the club aren't doing so well, bottom of the league at the minute. What can they do to sort of get better?
I think it just comes down to sponsorship really. They don't have too much funding. They get about 200 people there every week to watch, so the sponsorships need to improve. It's mainly local because obviously the sport's not that big in England, so if it does become bigger in the country, I'm sure that local businesses and local sponsors will be more inclined to sponsor them at a local level.
Thank you, Harry. To equestrian now, and showing us that TIBS TV is far from just horseplay is Aaron Aquilina.
I'm here at Gleneagles Stables in Southampton, a top-of-the-range riding centre where Solent's Equestrian Club train. Founded in 2002 by Erin Donald, Solent are in their 11th successive year as a qualified team and have seen participation grow from 10 members to when it started to over 45 at present. The team, who prides itself on being able to cater for all abilities, rides over 2 days on Wednesday and Thursday afternoons, either here at Gleneagles or nearby Crofton Manor. The team includes a handful of accolades, including Sportswoman of the Year, Female Newcomer of the Year, and even won Best Organised Team twice over other universities since their foundations. Solent's increase in participants have allowed them to produce both an A and B team, each consisting of 4 riders who compete over 4 events in the Bucks League, comprising of both jumping and dressage. The league that started in 2005 is a mixed gender competition and has seen an increase of around 45 universities to 80 this year. As well as mini-league tables, there are also regional rounds with participants asked to ride on borrowed horses, so there is no need for riders to own one themselves. The winner is then judged on who has the better ability in getting the very best out of an unknown horse in a limited time. So now we know about the sport, how's the Olympics inspired it? It's fair to say Team GB's equestrian team had a very successful home Olympics, with both the dressage and jumping team winning gold, whilst there was an individual gold and bronze for Charlotte Dugarden and Laura Bechtolsheimer respectively. There was also a gold medal for the Paralympics dressage team, with a combined total of 18 athletes winning 16 medals overall at both games in equestrian. With all this success, how has Solent been affected? We spoke to a few of their riders to get their thoughts.
I think it's promoted it a lot more. Lots of people weren't aware of it and what different types of riding there is, so like dressage and jumping, cross country. So I think it's just raised people's awareness more.
We don't just have a team which is competing, we've got people who've never even gotten a horse before, and we've got people who we also have horses that we've got disabled riders who come and ride, so it's opened up, like the Paralympics as well, it's opened up more doors for people to come and think actually everybody can have a go.
With the Olympics living up to its motto of Inspire a Generation, here's hoping Solent can build upon their 11-year run. You've heard it from the horse's mouth.
Aaron joins us in the studio now. So Aaron, how do you go about getting involved in a sport like equestrian, which isn't your average mainstream sport?
Well, Solent offer a variety of open days annually, whether you haven't been a rider before or whether you have been a rider. Just come on down. There's plenty of horses there, from ponies for the beginners to fully trained horses for experts. You go down there, they test out your weight options and abilities, and they go from there really. Go and get on the horse, and if you like it, sign up. If you don't, then you get a free day to try out.
So with it not being such a mainstream sport, what are the facilities like here at the university?
I think the facilities are fantastic. They've got large field spaces for the horses. There's a sound school where they practice dressage and jumping. The pens are cleaned out every single day. It's very well looked after. It's just very clean and really well spread out.
And what does the future hold for the sport in the country?
I think the future's very bright. I think with the Olympics, advertising it as an achievable sport worldwide. As with Solent, they've had members from 10 from when they started up to 45 now, and the leagues have grown into 120 teams. And as you saw with the Team GB's dressage team, they're getting a bit over their peak now. So it's good for the youth to come back in and hopefully change the sport around.
Okay, thank you, Aaron. Now it's time to cross over to Joe McIndo, who has been to talk to a member of the Solent coaching staff, Dominic Cunliffe.
Football can often be described as a game of chess, with both sides battling for supremacy. So we thought we'd come down to Wide Lane to witness a local derby, Southampton versus Southampton, and meet the chess master behind it all. Yes, we thought we'd find out about the role of a coach. So I've been joined by Dominic Cunliffe. He's the head of Solent Sport Football Team and Solent University as well. So just let's start with an easy one. What is the role of a coach these days?
It's an interesting question, Joe. I suppose my role is preparing the players, both mentally and physically, for the sort of physicalities of playing, obviously, the next pending opposition, or against the opposition, if you like. So I suppose, in essence, getting the players ready and getting them prepared, ready for the sort of match ahead.
I noticed you talked about the mental side of things. I mean, how much do you involve psychology in the kind of modern side of university sport?
That's a good question again, actually. I mean, it is a huge part. What we're trying to achieve here at Team Solent, and certainly Solent University, is a sort of a professional approach. We've moved away from having student-run teams, if you like, and for all intents and purposes, choosing your mates and all the people you live with. It's now about having a structure in place and having a coaching structure with actual coaches who are external to the players, i.e. not students. And then bringing that professionalism along, and part of it is the mental side of things, the psychological aspects, which is vitally important in today's sort of football.
So would you say we've kind of moved away from, I don't know, turn up and take part of sport and move up, come towards more elite style results as the thing that counts kind of thing?
Yes and no. Results are definitely important. We need to see ourselves progressing. I mean, if you look at the facilities we built here at Solent University, you know, a £3.5 million football only facility at Test Park, you know, they're going to have, or the university's going to want to see some return. You know, we currently play in Division 2 of the university divisions, and you know, aspirations to get into Division 1, then ultimately into the Premier League. That'll really put us on the map. We have to be conscious of the fact that we need to build the foundations and make sure that's in place also. So what we're trying to achieve, if you like, is a slow but realistic process of making sure that the players, the students, are supported in many assets, and then obviously they can then go out and perform to get us that sort of promotion, as you say.
I mean, one thing I would kind of like to bring up is disabled sport. We've had the Paralympics.
Yes.
Has it changed the way people coach?
It's an interesting question. My experiences of coaching disabled athletes is very limited. I have some, and I think it's purely based on an individual aspect. You've got an individual with their own specific needs, and I think a coach nowadays has to take into consideration what they can or cannot do, and then it's down to what they can train and what they're doing and what their aspirations are and what the motivations to compete, etc., etc. There's a whole plethora of sort of avenues in which a coach needs to be aware of just to support that one athlete.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's time to go across to our man Tom Veach with the latest sports news.
Thanks guys, and first tennis, and Novak Djokovic has eased past Viktor Troicki in straight sets in their first round match at the Dubai Championship. The two Serbs got the crowd going from the start, with both men pulling out some impressive action, but it was the world number one who went on to take control of the match. Djokovic established a 5-1 lead and carried on at the same tempo to quickly see out the first set. but Tricky did fight back in the second, breaking his fellow countryman's serve. But Djokovic proved too strong for him and regained control of the set. The top seed took a 5-4 lead to serve out the match to extend his winning run to 14 matches. And Djokovic seemed happy with his performance.
Overall performance was really good. I was in the court, I was aggressive and served well when I needed to. Dropped a bit with the first serve percentage and played a couple of bad games in the middle of the second set, but when I needed to, I played well, and I'm really glad that I'm through.
And now in football, and Chelsea manager Rafa Benitez has announced that he will leave Chelsea at the end of the season. Benitez joined the European champions in November. The former Liverpool boss has been unpopular with the Stamford Bridge faithful, with many fans chanting their disappointment.
I have been in charge in football for 26 years. I won the Champions League, won the FIFA Club World Cup, the FA Cup, the Italian Super Cup, the Spanish League twice, the FA Cup here, I say. 9 trophies, all the trophies that you can win at club level. So I think that a group of fans, they are not making any favour to the team, and they are singing and wasting time preparing banners, and it's because someone made a mistake. They put my title interim manager, and I will leave at the end of the season, so they don't need to waste time with me.
Benitez says he has to remain professional, but is unhappy with the interim tag the board gave him.
I have a title. Someone decided that the title will be interim. Why? Oh, you know, just in case. Okay, fine. They want to blame me for everything that is wrong, and then they say, oh, we'll put interim just in case. Fine, that is your decision. I don't agree, but it's your decision. And now everybody has to take responsibility. If we are in the Champions League, I will be the happiest man in the world. But the next year I will leave anyway because I finished my contract, so they don't need to be worried about me. What they have to do is concentrate on supporting the team.
If one thing seems certain, it is that Rafa Benitez will no longer be Chelsea manager come the end of the season. Meanwhile, David Beckham started his first full debut for new club Paris Saint-Germain in their 2-1 win over Marseille in the French Cup. And it was Beckham who nearly created the first goal, after Zlatan Ibrahimovic was unable to pounce on Guimero's cross after Beckham's splitting pass. But Zlatan would make up for his mistake moments later, after his cool finish gave the home side the lead. Beckham played a pivotal role in the second goal, after his crucial pass led to Ibrahimovic being failed in the box by defender Jeremy Morel. And it was the striker who took the spot kick, slotting it past keeper Steve Mandanda to secure the win in their quest for their 9th French Cup title. And finally to golf, Matt Kuchar defeated Jason Day and Hunter Mahan in the WGC World Play Championship. Holding champion Mahan faced Ian Poulter at the start of the day. This chip on the par 3 12th put the American 3 up. And Mahan secured the win at the 15th when this put half the hole to claim a 4-3 win over Poulter. Kuchar gained the same success over Jason Day. This putt on the 15th gave him the victory. And Kuchar started the final well. This great approach shot on the par 5 8th. He would birdie the hole to go 4 up. Mahan did put up a fight on the back 9, but his chip on the 17th failed to drop, and last year's champion conceded the hole to give Kuchar a 2-1 championship win. That's all I've got time for. I'm Tom Veach, back to the studio.
Well, that's all we've got time for this week. Thanks for tuning in to TIBS TV. I've been Jack Murphy.
And I've been Greg Stiles. Join us again next week for the latest sporting updates.
Zing!